So I'm going to turn down this Purple Heart pen blank into a really nice looking pen, but with this new variable speed system. This motor we just got off of an old treadmill, and all the electronics were still connected. So you can get all of this off of an old treadmill. You can pick them up pretty cheap from the thrift store. And then here's my variable speed. I have this temporary knob on here. But let's go ahead and start turning this down. So first we'll turn the lathe on, and then we can take the variable speed and turn it up until it has enough momentum to get started. About right there is good. This is definitely quieter than what it was before. So now this looks like it's all flat and perfectly round. Quieter, it's smooth, but one thing that I find kind of annoying is whenever I turn this off, and when I turn it back on, you can see what you have to do is then come back over, turn this all the way back, and then you can turn it on. And I think that's kind of annoying. It'd be nice if I could just set it at a certain speed and then turn it on or off, but if I want to go slower, then I can take it slow. So that would be nice if I could do that. There might be a few modifications we can make, but that's just what I find kind of inconvenient. Now I'm just going to move to sanding. I have a little bit left on there. That's what we want. I can see a little bit of a crest, which is how I like this pen. And of course, whenever we're sanding, we're going to remove the tool rest. It's starting to look nice. Start with a 180 grit. You can see this can kind of get annoying. have to flip the switch off every time that I turn the lathe off. I can just take it from the on position, and I can just turn it off with the knob. That does make it a little bit easier, but it still can kind of get annoying. Now we'll move on to 220. Up to 400 grit. Looking pretty good. I'm not seeing any deep scratches. I see a little bit there and a little bit there. So I might need to go back to the 220 just to make sure this is a really nice smooth finish. Alright, now if we take a look at that, that looks pretty nice. I'm not seeing any deep scratches. We might have one right there that I need to get rid of, but that may be it. Alright, now it looks like we did get that scratch, and this has a really nice finish. Now I'm going to go ahead and move up to 600. Finish on there. I'm not seeing any scratches really at all in the wood. So now let's go ahead and bring the purple out. This is one of my favorite parts whenever you apply heat to the wood to actually bring the purple back out. You can see this is not really looking that purple anymore. The little dust down here is pretty purple, but this almost has like a brownish reddish to it. And I like the deep purple, so let's go ahead and turn this onto a lower speed. Right there. Then we'll take a heat gun like this, turn it on, and slowly apply the heat to the wood, and you'll watch the purple actually come into the wood. I can start to see it there at the end, starting to come on. It's tricky to get it right there on the end. That's the hardest part. Go over it with a 600 grit finish, because when you apply the heat it raises the grain and it's not going to be very smooth. You just need to quickly go over it with 600. This is when you really start to see that purple sawdust. It's crazy. Now if we look at that, you can see the purple in there, and that is really cool looking. I'll put some lacquer on. I have some in this small bottle here, so I can put it on controlled. And just apply that to the wood. It really is amazing. So lacquer dries pretty quick. What I'm going to do is probably 3 or 4 coats, just because this is a pen and it needs to have a durable finish. So I'm just keep going putting these coats on. Since the lacquer dries fast, I can wait like maybe a minute and then I'll wipe it on again. And that's working. I have a bunch of coats on here and this is looking really nice. One thing I find fascinating about Purple Heart though is like in the cracks of the grain, it's almost like there's sparkles in it. You just have to catch it at the right light, but it really is amazing just to look at that grain and see it like sparkling. So you take the cotton rag and almost just very lightly buff this, I guess, and just get that surface really smooth and wipe off any of the excess that would be piling up. And you can see this is having a really nice finish on it. It's like almost like a perfect satin gloss, especially with this rag. And not to mention, it's very smooth. Now we can go ahead and take this off of the lathe and start to assemble the pen. That looks really nice. I think Purple Heart goes with gold really well. And these pen kits that I'm using are plated in 24 karat gold, so it looks really nice. Take those bushings out carefully. And one thing you want to make sure whenever you put the brass tube in, once you just drilled the blank, make sure you let the glue dry for 24 hours. Just because if you don't, the wood won't be like sealing to this brass tube enough, and when you go to lathe it, it'll just split into a bunch of pieces and you'll ruin your blank. So this pen really has turned out beautiful. I really am happy with the Purple Heart wood and that lacquer finish, and this turned out really nice. You can retract that, bring it out, and it's really smooth. So I hope you guys found this video useful. If you did, don't forget to like and subscribe, and we'll see you next time.